Is your game world boring your players? Are you struggling to make your NPC interactions memorable? Nothing can grind your game to a halt faster than a boring world. So in this video, I'm going to give you 6 ways to make your background characters go from supporting actors to bona fide legendary superstars who will excite your players into thinking they're adventuring in a dynamic and exciting, well-rounded, 3-dimensional world. And of course, get you all creating awesome story memories. Number 1, no wasted NPCs. Whether it's an old dwarf that's come into the tavern to give a quest to some adventurers, or like an assistant big baddie that's assistant to the big baddie, there are no wasted NPCs. Don't put an NPC in your world that is just going to disappear as soon as they deliver their stock line or their couriered letter or whatever. NPCs, presumably, are thinking, breathing characters that live in a complex magical world filled with fire-breathing dragons, brain-eating illithids, and roving packs of cobbled dancers. It was a thing. It was a thing in one of my games. Look, they deserve to have more motivation than, I deliver thing, I deliver side quest, I give reward. Like in real life, you would not talk to somebody that spoke like that. It would be real weird. It'd be real weird. These NPCs live in a complex world, so like, how do they survive day to day? How do they not walk blindly into a fireball? What are their skills, their attributes, their hobbies? You know, these really might seem like throwaway questions, but I promise if you start to answer these questions, you start to give yourself like follow-up questions that can really tie your NPCs into the story that you're telling. And the more you tie your NPCs into the story that you're telling, the more you give them motivation. Which leads me to my next point. Number 2, background. Why are they doing what they're doing? Like, do you think that old dwarf is just like walking down the street and then the thought hits him and he's like, you know what? I just remembered my friend has got this princess and she's totally locked away with some horrible death cult in a cave. I should go to the tavern because maybe there's a band of adventurers that's about to assemble for the first time ever. They'd be perfect for this. And also that dwarf should have had a Scottish accent because we all know that dwarves have Scottish accents. Gee, I sure hope that there's a band of adventurers ready to rescue the princess that I know. What interest does he have in making sure this princess comes back? Like, who does he know? Like, how do they know each other? And like, does he belong to a guild of like adventurers? Or like maybe he intends to collect a bounty on the princess and isn't telling you about that. Or maybe he works for a rival kingdom and he's like thinking, if I get rid of the princess, then my kingdom can kind of like take over and all that stuff. The point is, he needs motivation, man. He needs motivation. By giving your NPCs backgrounds, motivations, and connections, social connections to the world that you're playing in, you're giving yourself as the DM so many like little storylines that you can pluck, so many little things that you can just kind of work into the overarching story that you're creating. Basically, you're getting your NPCs to work for you. Number 3, picture the NPC. Seriously, visualize with me a young druid walking through a meadow of flowers. She walks with a limp, her fangs glistening in the sunlight. Blood pours out of her head. Look, a picture's worth 1,000 words. And even though this druid needs to get some help, you can definitely picture what she looks like. What do your NPCs look like? Do they have mannerisms? Do they have verbal tics? Do they have an accent or a weird way of talking? Do they mumble or do they kind of collapse into themselves? And why? These things stick out to your characters. They will remember these people. Like, imagine the first time that you read The Hobbit, right? And you're like, and Tolkien is describing like how Gollum is, like the way he sounds, like he scurries around, the way he's kind of splutters and mumbles to himself and walks on all fours. And like, you've read The Hobbit, right? I mean, tell me you've read The Hobbit. It's a great book. Anyways, don't worry about that. So like after this is over, go to the library, get The Hobbit. It's a good book. But you can picture Gollum based on the physical description of him. You can have a sense of like who he is, what his motivations are. He's a creepy little guy. And this is a good chance for you as the DM to flex your performance muscle. Now, as a bard, I always encourage my DMs to flex their performance muscle. But seriously, like this is your job, man. Enjoy it. This is your fun part. Dang it, I knocked over my little tavern here. Number 4, by far my most favoritist of tools, the recurring character. You never know which NPCs your table is going to fall in love with, so you got to capitalize on that. If your players are telling you, we like this guy, we want more of this guy, you better listen. And again, make sure that they've got that background in place, because if they're going to start showing up more and more and more, your players are going to start asking them more and more and more questions. So you better have an answer to that, because nothing grinds your game to a halt like, yes, Elevander, the wandering minstrel, walks in. Oh, cool, we saw that guy last night. Hey, Elevander, do you live in town? I don't know. No? Yes? Yes. Where do you live? I don't know. Do you play any other instruments? Look, just leave me alone. I'm just here to lighten the mood. Poor Elevander, so misunderstood. Some of the best characters that you end up getting in your game world start as absolute no ones, like afterthoughts. So spoiler alert to the 6 people that are actually playing at my table right now, there's a really exuberant, like excitable halfling bartender that works in the big bad guy's place. And the truth is, he was never supposed to have a part in the campaign. But my players really took a shine to him. And being the little charismatic halfling that he was, I was able to use this to my advantage. Suddenly, this charming little halfling became part of the big bad guy's scheme, and he managed to charm one of the players right into confinement. I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to say it a million times. I'll say it a billion times. Charisma is not a dump stat. Man, do you know how sweet it was to drop that little nugget on them when they got there and they realized that he was the reason that she was all locked up? It was fantastic. So those are the kinds of things, like you get that recurrence where the character comes back, they start to get to know them, where it's going to turn your two-dimensional, cape-wearing, snively whiplash villains into true criminal masterminds. Hey, I've got 2 more tips coming your way. Do me a favor, take a second, like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me. It really does. Number 5, shopkeepers. Shop, 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 shop. Everybody! The unsung heroes of the D&D commerce world. Look, I've done it. You've done it. Your party gets to town, and you just open up the equipment list, you throw it on the table, you say, oh, you find a shop, go nuts. Not every NPC has to advance the story, but man, are you missing a golden opportunity here. Like, this is an eccentric world, so you can't have bland Sam shopkeeper sitting there and tending shop quietly, polishing the world's oldest battle axe. Like, quick straw poll, would you rather spend 100 gold coins at bland Sam's shop? Or would you rather spend 100 gold coins at Sam the Hammer's Emporium for Wayward Adventurers? Actually, the second one sounds kind of like a specialty shop, and I'm going to guess that there's going to be a bit of a markup there, so I don't know, maybe go with Bland Sam. Not the point! You get a chance to introduce a little eccentric shopkeeper here, and the bonus is that for your charisma-based players, this is a chance for them to interact, use that gift of gab, and drive those prices down. Seriously, I know everybody thinks charisma's a dump stat, it's not worth anything, but man, this is like the one time you get to use it. Like, you get to be the hero for everybody and drive those prices down. God, lower the prices! Roll that persuasion check! Roll that persuasion check! Like, seriously, if I was a shopkeeper in town and I saw, like, 6 adventurers in full armor with a cart and a horse come in and it's loaded with, like, weird relics and ancient, my prices are going up. It's not inflation, it's the hero tax. Give your charisma players a chance to talk to the shopkeeper, talk them down. They'll love you for it. This is their moment to shine. Number 6. The double cross, or the secret hero. Like, what's more fun than doing the old bait and switch with your party? Imagine, way back in session 1, that kindly old dwarf who came in and gave you the whole spiel, like, you gotta save my friend, please, she's in so much trouble, oh, what's she gonna do with that death cult? Only to find out that when you open that door and you go in, guess who's leading the death cult all along? It's the dwarf! He needed lambs for the slaughter, and you, my friends, were those lambs. And like, those are the fun little twists and turns, little knives in the back that keep your players happy, that keep them satisfied. Oh god, there goes the bookshelf again. Every player wants to think that their interactions have an effect on the real world. And these NPCs supposedly live in this world, so they're invested in the outcome of whatever the adventurer's arc is. So lay some seeds in those early campaigns, and then watch those seeds turn into legendary interactions towards the end of the campaign. A bonus rule! No, really, this is my golden rule with all campaigns, and all DMs need to do this. Take notes. Take really good notes, because you never know when you're going to get a player at your table that says, hey, do you remember that scroll that we read 4 adventures ago? Didn't it say something about Keith the dwarf? I don't know, man. I didn't write that down. Having your recurring, well thought out NPCs show up in the final act is the perfect reward to let your players know that this game world that they're in is listening to the choices they're making, it's paying attention to their story, and it's responding by interacting and being a part of the conclusion. These are the moments that your table will talk about for years to come. And there you have it! 6 ways to turn your NPCs into the stuff of legends. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for more DM tips and tricks. Or join me for some bardic buffoonery. And as always, if you have a question on how to make your table run even more smoothly, how to make your adventures even grander, to make your confrontations bloodier and darker and, well, just cooler, hit me up. Leave a comment. I'm happy to read. I can't wait to share some more adventures with you. If you have an adventure that you think is just absolutely epic, let me know. Maybe I'll write a song about it. I am a bard after all. Until next time, my friends, I am your common house bard. But seriously, get The Hobbit. Like, it's a really good book.